The following podcast contains adult language and themes, so don't say we didn't fucking warn you.
You're listening to SarahTalk. It's political.
You could run a fucking pet rock against Donald Trump, and I would vote for the pet rock.
Yeah.
That's where we're at right
Yeah.
Critical.
One of the things that drives me nuts as an atheist is that my polling location is at a church. And I don't necessarily have a problem. I'm not going to like burst into flames walking into a church.
After being on this show and having heard your viewpoints on some things, my advice to you is don't test this. I won't burst into flames.
And positively LGBT positive.
In many states, you can still be evicted from housing simply for being gay or transgender. Stand and fight with us.
Oh, and occasionally completely absurd.
Oh, they're shutting us down. They're deplatforming us. I do a pretty good Alex Jones voice. Return the Frogs gay!
Okay, you're sleeping in a child's room tonight because there's no way you're sleeping next to me. That is disgusting. I'm going to have nightmares.
And now, from Orlando, Florida, your host, Sarah Austin.
Hey everybody, welcome to SarahTalk. Sorry we're late.
No, sorry, not sorry?
But,
A little sorry.
Hey, happy Pride, everybody!
Yay!
So the reason why we're late, if you haven't been following along, we were at Orlando Pride.
And we needed to eat. Well, actually, that's not true. I needed to feed Sarah before
God,
we
I
had to
was
go
so
on
cranky.
because she was such a cranky bitch.
I was. Hey, we have some.
Not even kidding.
We have some friends in the studio with us tonight.
Friends, yay!
We have Bailey and Kailin. Welcome. Thank you for sitting in with us.
Hello.
And you'll want to get right up on that microphone too. It's
Hello.
pretty
I'm not kidding.
sensitive.
Hey.
There
So,
you go.
okay.
Okay.
I know you're scripted.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
No, look,
I know.
I have like 3 things tonight, and
Oh,
the rest
okay.
of it is
Oh, good. So I have like
completely
free reign to
unplanned.
just fluff right now for a minute.
Sure.
So I have a backstory. So Kailin and I have known each other since we were like roughly our oldest children's ages. Yeah. She has a daughter that's a little bit older than our son. So we go way back. It was really cool today to go to Pride with a friend that I grew up with back in the day in a very conservative Christian anti-LGBT environment and be like, yeah. So I just want to put that out there. And then Bailey, of course, is Kaylin's fiance. We love Bailey because Kailin loves Bailey and Bailey loves Kailin.
Yes.
And that's important.
Yes.
So welcome to the fam.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Oh, that was it?
I'm sure I'll
man.
I'll well up a little bit
Okay,
and
that was
want to
a-
say more, but
That
did you
was
need me
about
to say more?
45 seconds.
Oh, shut up.
No, okay. So
Or you can give me the boxes that came in the mail and
Oh yeah, we have to open some mail.
we have mail.
Mail today.
What's the mail song?
Which mail song? The
From Blue's Clues.
Here's the mail. It never fails. It makes me want to wag my tail. Here you go. Mail! We have mail.
One of our patrons, Russell, sent us some new action figures, which are super exciting. We have Bernie over there. Also, Russell, I think Russell likes to send us awesome action figures that are politically driven.
Inclined?
Inclined.
Yeah. So what do we got here?
We
got
have Obama.
Obama. Very nice. Oh, that's cool.
I love it. Okay, we got 2 of them. This is my favorite.
Obama's an arms down kind of guy.
This is my favorite. Oh, his arms don't go up?
No, they
Oh,
move.
he-
I think he's.
I guess Bernie's
hands
like-
are very angrily like shaking and screaming, and it's huge.
And
And
this is Miss Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's got a little mallet, which I think is awesome.
Justice of the Supreme Court, feminist icon, Ruth Bader.
I think
Ginsburg.
this right here, these 3 are my dream ticket. I think Bernie should be president, Bader can be vice president, and Obama can be Speaker of the House just so we get to listen to him speak some more.
I'm down for that.
Right? Okay.
This is great.
I love it. Thank
She
you,
comes with a
Russell.
gavel
she
and
comes with a
everything.
gavel. I love it.
That's so
I
great.
called it a mallet before. As it came out, I went, that's not right.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Russell.
Anyway, we just have a collection. We're going to have to get a shelf for them.
Yeah, right?
Is that the same Russell whose face you stepped on?
Yes, it is.
Ah, I like
that. Would be my little brother, Russell.
Awesome.
Hey, yesterday was my 3-year hormone anniversary. I started taking hormones 3 years ago yesterday.
I can't believe
Isn't
it's
that
been that long,
crazy?
but also it seems like it's it's
been
way
forever,
longer.
right?
It's weird.
Well, so let's go back to the beginning then, because October 11th was National Coming Out Day.
Yes.
And normally I try to prepare around queer dates that of importance, but I didn't this time. So maybe we can just kind of have an open table, kind of a raw conversation about some of our coming out stories. And, of course, share only what you're comfortable sharing. Becca.
What?
Do you remember when I came out to you?
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't think I've come out to anybody recently or ever. Okay. Oh gosh. I don't remember it being like a thing.
Mhm.
Like it wasn't a like, oh, by the way. I think it was just more of a like gradual kind of bits and pieces assimilation of I don't know.
Okay.
I can't say that I remember a very specific. The one thing I do remember very clearly and that I will never forget is you sent me an email with pictures.
Oh, yeah, I did.
You did.
Shit. You still have it?
Oh,
I hope not.
I'm sure it's saved somewhere in
I
some
hope
save
not.
file.
So,
But that was like we were still platonic. So it was like way back. I mean, go way back. Like I will never forget that. But that's when I went, oh, okay. All right.
Interesting.
So this is a thing.
Because I don't, obviously I have the world's worst memory, but I don't remember any of that.
But yeah, I don't know that I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I remember conversations very clearly that I had with other people about you.
Right.
But I don't know that I...
So that was the next question, right? So you have now, like after I've transitioned and living my life, but now you have to, in a way, come out as my wife to people.
Right, sure.
And in some cases, like, come out on my behalf to some people.
And I have. And that's not
You want to talk about that?
It's not really a thing that I am timid about. I think you've been there in situations where I've been like, okay, so hey, this is Sarah. Or what was it? Our son's kindergarten. You hadn't quite transitioned yet because the baby had just been born.
Right.
You like had an appointment or something, I think, but we weren't doing hormones or anything like that. But I was like, okay, so this is daddy, but in a few weeks, daddy's going to be mommy. And so you need to understand that when our son talks about my daddy and uses she and her, he is correct because at that point he hadn't decided.
He was using both.
Whether he was, what he was going to actually end up calling you. So you were still daddy. So I've had to have those conversations, but I don't know. I'm just
recently there was a PTO mom or something that you were talking to.
Oh yeah, okay. So,
but I think she knew. But it was more.
She was asking more because she had a personal connection. She had a niece that had come out as trans and was just, I don't know if she was just building bridges or because she didn't really ask too much at that time. But then later on, a couple of days later, I was in the office with her and the guidance counselor and had to do like Trans 101 impromptu, which was interesting.
Right.
Because it's always weird, like when people start asking questions, they're gonna go one way or the other. And I haven't had a lot of people ask like those super personal questions.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get those questions, I'm kind of almost inclined to look at them and say, "It's none of your business."
Right.
Like, I've only had like 3 people ask if you've had the bottom surgery, and I'm just like,
it's funny. Like nobody asks me anymore. When I was preparing people to the idea that I'm trans and that I might one day do this, I remember getting some of those questions. But since I've transitioned, nobody asks.
Yeah, it's weird. Like it's so far and like few between when I do get that question. And I had a friend of mine recently who I'm very close to. I've known her for a really long time. But she asked me, like, so how's the sex life? And I was just like, this is what it is. And then, but then from that, it became, well, are you happy? And like this very interesting turn in the conversation. And I'm like, if I wasn't happy,
Right. I'd be out.
I wouldn't be here. Like, and it's not, and I don't know. I mean, I've had my own mom, Russell, sorry, you can turn it off.
Yeah, tune out.
But like she at one point said to me, well, your relationship is nothing once the sex goes. And I'm like, that's not true of a lot of people. Like I know a lot of people that, and I don't know, she's not really that credible of a source for those types of facts. I don't think. I love my mom, but
also like there were other things going on there too with like, well, I'm going to move closer and get a 3-bedroom place so that when you need to leave him, you have a place to go.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff was going on too.
Yeah.
Like she was expecting you to eventually leave me.
Sure.
She was expecting me to
cheat. She was expecting you to cheat.
She was expecting me to get a fancy new science vagina and go right out and get penises put in it like as quickly as possible, which is not a thing that happened, or would. But your response to that was the best though, because you were selling sex toys at the time, and you had a whole.
I did. We had
a whole bag full of
I did,
toys,
and I told her. I said, if she wants to try sticking something in there, then by all means, I've got one in every shape and size. Make your mother blush. That's the greatest way to do it.
Right?
Love you, Mom.
We're gonna move to Kailin and Bailey here for just in a minute. In a minute, but I have Jessie on the line.
Oh,
Jessie wants to talk about.
Hi, Jessie. Okay, you gotta turn it down though, because we're gonna hear ourselves feedbacking.
Yeah, we'll hear the feedback and the delay.
Yeah.
Listen through your phone.
Okay.
So Jessie.
Yeah. I closed the laptop.
Oh, okay.
So Jessie said, "I remember when Sarah officially came out to me." You do.
Go on. She doesn't.
Because I sure don't.
I do. It wasn't in person, and so I wake up to a text from you, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's going on? Because you didn't text me very much at the time that you had texted me, and it was just like, remember those conversations we used to have about towing the line back?
Oh, the line.
Yeah.
Yes, the line.
And yes. And back when we had family dinners and blah, blah, and I was like, yes. And you're like, I'm finally out. And it was just like this like short little text conversation, but I was like so happy for you. Like I literally like screamed on the inside. I was so happy that you finally like were being the person that you knew you were. So
yeah.
So I remember that. I literally screamed in my bedroom. It was the funniest thing ever.
That's great.
So, funny story while we're going down memory lane.
Oh, God. Did we really want to do this tonight?
Yeah, sure. So Jessie,
hey, everybody, we're going to take a quick break.
We'll knock it off. So, Jessie is probably single-handedly responsible for the fact that Sarah and I ended up together.
Yeah.
The three of us worked together, and we would go to the ale house and drink before work. And Jessie and Sarah were friends, and then Jessie and I were friends. And then Jessie was like, hey, let's all get together. And then Sarah and I started playing footsies under the table at the ale house. And one thing led to the other. And
then you got me drunk.
And I got her drunk.
Anyway, that's a long story.
Anyway. Jessie, I love you. Kiss that baby. Did we lose her?
I don't know. I think we may have.
Uh-oh.
That's okay. We can move on. Jessie, we love you. And thanks for calling in. I was going to, I don't know, I'll see if she wanted to talk about her own experiences, because I know there's some challenges and things going on there, but maybe we should just book her.
Yeah, I think that's probably.
Okay. Kailin and Bailey.
Do you want to go first? You want me to? Up to you, Kailin. Okay, so.
Shove that right in your mouth.
I don't remember telling my parents, but I do remember chopping my hair off, chopping all these pictures of women out of magazines.
Such beautiful long hair too.
I did. It was really long, and I chopped it off, and then I just put pictures everywhere of women on the walls, and then they figured it out, and my dad put a hole in my wall.
Oh my god.
Oh, did he?
With the telephone.
Your dad seems
With a telephone? Okay.
Because I always talk to my long distance girlfriend
with
online
the phone.
on the phone, and he just put the
That's
hole
so hard to believe because your dad
Wow.
is like the chillest guy on the planet.
Chill. And then the next day he went in, he patched it up.
Of course he did.
We didn't say anything, and then it was fine.
Wow.
And then they let you go live in Boston with your girlfriend when you were 17?
I think I was 16.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh.
See, let me tell you something. Okay, I got to do this again. I'm sorry. We're going to just do that. Growing up, Kailin's family was the family that everybody wanted to be a part of. Just saying.
They were awesome.
Like,
Still are.
you have the best family. I love your parents. I love your siblings. They're amazing. That's like something that just sticks in your head. And my mom and I used to get in fights all the time because she would be like, why can't you act more like Kailin? And I would say, well, because you're not like her mom. But it's true, though. Like, that was the place you went. You always felt comfortable. You always felt safe. You always felt happy. There was never any, like, drama that we knew about. Like, if there was, it was certainly not happening, like, when you went into my house. And I had friends that were afraid to go there because my mom would knock on the door and the whole house would want to fall down. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, so yeah, kudos to your parents because I love them.
They got over it quickly.
Yeah, I'm sure. You kind of have to, like, you just.
Well, my mom thought it was just a phase.
I do remember
Yeah.
hearing that.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
yeah.
a common refrain. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they let me have the phase that lasted my whole life. Bailey?
Well, I didn't come out till I was 26. And the other night, Kailin and I were looking through my college scrapbook, and we discovered how gay I always was.
Isn't that fun?
Like, even in middle school, I was wearing turtlenecks and vests and ties, but that was how my mom dressed, and she's straight as far as I know. But then Kailin found, do you remember making mixed CDs?
Oh,
with
yeah.
people?
Of
Oh,
course.
yeah.
We found a mixed CD that I made for my chiropractor, who I had a crazy crush on.
Oh my!
But I just thought we were
She
going to be
sent it to
friends.
her.
Oh, I mailed it to her. That's
Wow.
right. We didn't find the CD. We found the letter she wrote back.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow. And
she
what
would
did she
send her
say?
postcards from her travels.
Frequently. I had forgotten all about this.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
This is great.
And the best part is that my mom helped me make that scrapbook and never thought to say, it's really gay of you. Like, why didn't anyone take me aside and say, there's a reason you're wearing vests? Let me help you with that. And playing the drums.
Oh my gosh. But no, drums are cool. It doesn't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't. I
Yeah.
always wanted to be a drummer. I don't have the rhythm.
Mm.
Not gonna happen.
I could beatbox. Maybe later in the show.
Oh, there you go.
So what?
Yeah,
what
the
was it
neighbors.
like-
Sounds like the neighbors are having
Speaking of drumming,
a party out there.
my headphones are the cheap ones because we only have 3 good pairs, and so I can hear everything that's going on. When usually it's like,
No, I can hear it too.
can you? Okay.
Yeah. So, do you consider do you think of yourselves as lesbian or bi or pan, or do we just not label?
Lesbian.
Yeah.
Lesbian, although if they ever come up with one that's everything but men,
Mm-hmm.
men are awesome, but I've never been attracted to men.
Yeah.
But now I'm getting married, so my sexuality is now married to the greatest woman.
Oh. I told you we were gonna need barf bags for this.
Yeah, y'all. The diabetes is coming.
Diabetes. That's horrible.
What?
Do you guys have family that suffers from diabetes? Okay, I do. It's horrible.
Do you
Diabetes.
do you want to talk about how you met each other while we're telling sappy we love each other stories?
Oh, this is a good one, I think.
So the story we tell people.
Hey, nobody listens to this show. You can say anything.
Well, no, I want to hear both stories now.
Well, the first time we met was in the Catholic church parking lot.
The Catholic Church graveyard parking lot.
Oh.
Oh,
But we met on Tinder.
Okay. All right.
yeah, I like the Tinder better because graveyard.
That's where we met up, though. To go on our first date.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're not complete. I mean, it's not a total lie
Oh my
Right.
gosh,
We
that's
met there.
hilarious.
for that date. Yeah.
And then we went to Pepper's restaurant in the rain. And this year we went back to commemorate the 1-year anniversary of our first date. And we were both super hungry because we'd looked forward to this for months. And the waiter...
I thought you were going to say it was like closed or something.
The waiter starts cracking up and we realize we have both ordered fish tacos.
And he was, yeah, it was great.
Unplanned.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That's great.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we're having a taco bar at our wedding.
I think that's a great idea.
I love the idea of a taco bar anywhere, but especially at a wedding. Pour a little heavier.
All right. Hey, I'll leave the phone open if anybody wants to call and tell a coming out story. 224-40-SARAH, 224-407-2724. If you want to call and tell us any coming out stories. Do you have any memorable coming out stories of like when you had to come out to other people or?
I sent all 100 members of my family back in Ohio an email because I thought I want everyone to get the same story so that when they call and tell each other.
That's very smart. I have a large
weirdness.
family, and that's a very smart idea.
Mm-hmm. And I told my mom in the pool of her gym, and she was super supportive and has started researching it. And she even will go out of her way now to compliment butch women's haircuts.
Wow.
And say, that teenager, do you think that teenager is gay? Oh my God. Let's go make friends with them. And she would text me from airplanes, I've met gay people.
Oh my gosh.
I love supportive parents that are that like we did
Right.
we do a Polk Pride table. We've done it the last 2 years. With the first year when we met Tony and Oliver.
Oh yeah.
The only reason we met them is because I think it was Tony's mom came up to the booth and was like, "Oh, yeah, my son is trans and I'll send him over."
Yeah, ran off to get
like
them.
she went and got him and then dragged them back. And I'll never forget like that because I just thought, oh gosh, it was like this is you need that support from your parents. And it makes me really happy that there are parents that are not only supportive of their own children, but are so supportive of other kids in the community because you just never know what somebody's dealing with at home.
Yeah.
My dad gave us matching bracelets.
He did.
It was so sweet.
We were taking a nap in his bed, actually.
Oh.
And he wakes us up.
Oh my
We were
gosh, it
visiting.
just took a turn.
No.
I'm
Sorry.
kidding. I'm
It's
kidding.
not weird.
I know, I'm kidding.
We were taking a nap. He comes into the bedroom and he has these little wooden bracelets.
Yeah.
Aw.
Super cute.
Telling you,
That's how
parents
we
are the
chose.
best.
Right?
Ah.
Yeah. I've told this story before, but I guess I can tell the abridged version again. When I made that call to my parents, I didn't know what to expect. And what I got out of it was like I knew something was going on with you when you were a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't sure what it was. Never really would have guessed maybe that it was this. And your dad's worried about how you're going to keep a job.
Yeah.
That's what I got out of it. But for the most part, they were...
And coming from the small town that they live in,
Oh, yeah.
that's a legitimate
kind of
concern for
expected.
somebody, you know?
Yeah.
Michael Bryan, to side note, wants you to have pink tacos for your taco
shells.
taco shells
Genius.
for your taco bar. I didn't know they made pink taco shells. Did I say I can't even talk. I'm not even drinking tonight. Did I
Maybe you
say
should
pink
be.
Taco Bells?
No, you just said pink tacos.
Pink. Okay,
didn't
all
say-
right. I don't know what I said. Listen. There was a lot of hotness in that parade. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, so before we go to the next thing, then let's talk a little bit about Orlando Pride, because that was a thing we did today. I have decided that for the future, right? We decided last year $600 for a booth was not worth it, so we didn't do that again. But I didn't take last night off of work.
Which was a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. So I worked 11 p.m. to 8 a.m., got home, ate a little something, went to bed, slept for a few hours. It wasn't long. By the time I got to bed and got to sleep, and then it was time to get up and go to the parade, but not enough time to like eat. So we just went to the and I hadn't had anything to eat since breakfast until we just ate now. That's why we're late.
Let the record show, and don't edit this out, that I advised against not taking the night off.
Right. 25:01. Got it.
Well, I already have it on recorded that you have said that next year you have to take it off. That's good enough for me, but I need to throw in my
Yeah. No, I definitely need to take the day off because it's
too
much.
If you want to go and be like, we didn't get to go to the marketplace. We didn't get to do any walking around
or anything
because we literally got there half hour before the parade was stepping off. So we wanted to get a good spot.
But also, while we're having like honest, raw conversations here, I kind of feel like I missed out on a lot of my youth being out by coming out so late in life and having kids. And that was one of my frustrations today. We're sitting there watching the parade and the kids are running around doing all kinds of shit. And I'm paying more attention to them than I am to anything else. And like, it was just my ADD was my ADD. And so I was just all over the place. And I was like, God, I wish I could just enjoy a thing for once without distraction. And I feel like I missed that. Like when I talk, like I see a bunch of my friends, that were there, that we, messengered back and forth with, or Facebook, whatever. Like, oh, well, we're going to be here all night and we're going to, party the night away and have a good time. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bed. Now,
to be honest, though,
old me
would have never stayed late.
But it just makes me wonder, had I come out earlier and had that time to get acclimated. I don't know. I don't know.
You would have.
I just feel like
it would have been a different experience.
It would have, yeah.
But like I always say, I wouldn't be where I am if I wasn't where I was, and I'm glad that I'm where I am at. So why complain?
Right. It's just a feeling that I have. Not complaining.
I know.
Just being honest with my feelings, man.
Don't call me man. Don't bro me.
Dude.
Listen, just because I have a butchy haircut, which I bleached my hair. Has anybody noticed?
I did.
Nobody said anything in the chat.
No.
You're far away from the camera, though.
That's
we put you back in the
true.
corner.
Dude, what do you need? Is it emergency?
The network for
I'm sorry. There's nothing we can do about it. Sorry, play Minecraft. Sorry, not sorry.
Okay, so October.
I'm only addressing him, by the way, because there's another child out there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have been like, go away.
Yes. And I don't like Roblox.
Michael says you can enjoy Pride when you're 60. You can. There was a whole float of
old people.
Old people.
Yeah. God damn it.
They were doing like color guard and.
That was actually really cool.
That
group.
was really cool. I liked them.
No, it didn't feel as lively to me this year as it did last year. Last year was like a fucking party, and this year it seemed really tame. Like I don't know if it's just the section we were in or.
Well, I will tell you this much: I was stuck at the tent last year and didn't get to see the parade at all, so I have no point of reference.
I know, but anyway, it was a party.
Missing out on things.
Last year.
Yeah. Last year, I missed the whole damn thing.
So I don't know. I don't know if it was, something else going on. There were some protesters before the thing that OPD had to chase away, I guess. Anyway. Okay, so October is also LGBT History Month in the United States, not in the UK. By the way, it's a different month, but here it's October. So I'm sure that a lot of people may know bits and pieces about the history of our community, and I would count myself among them. If I were going to do this segment alone, I would have done more research.
You know who knows everything?
Which I did not.
About LGBT history?
Who's that?
Bailey.
Put her on the spot.
I'm kidding. It was totally a joke.
So that said, I did zero research. Bailey, the show is yours.
It's called Bailey Talk now.
Well, in the words of Bette Midler, thank you for that marvelous introduction. Halloween reference for you. Well, one of my favorite writers is Ivan Coyote, who is a Canadian spoken word artist and writer. And they said once that there was a pride parade in Canada in one of the major cities. And I think it was either the mayor or the director of the parade said that they wanted it to be more family friendly. And they used some upsetting language about not wanting as many trans women and more butch women in the parade. They didn't want it to be all that. And Ivan said, who do you think started Pride?
Right.
Which is so important to remember, that there's all this talk in the media about we need to diversify and we need to include more people, and the people we're talking about including are the people who started it and then had it corporatized and back.
Right.
I loved their rage talking about that. So Kailin has some wonderful kids, and I have some great kids in my life. And what's really fun is to go back through their history books with them and show them this person was queer, and this person was probably queer. And you listen to the Hamilton soundtrack. Queer.
Yep.
I mean, we are living in this time of so many powerful LGBT history moments. Did I say LGBT?
You did, but that's okay.
You can love trees. LGBT. There we go. History moments. We've only had marriage for 3 years, right? In June. Vermont was the first state to move toward legalizing marriage. That's been very recent. But all the way back in 1924, we had the first American gay rights group, which was started by a World War I veteran, which I think is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
You live through a war in Europe, and then you come back to America, and you're like,
I haven't done enough for society. Let's do some more.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Their newsletter was Friendship and Freedom, which sounds like something FDR would have come up with in the fireside chats. And then the Supreme Court in 1958, when my mom was 5 and Kailin's mom was 3. Yes. The Supreme Court said that the U.S. Post Office had to deliver pro-gay magazines. I don't know if that was 2 subscribers or if you could just go around and
handing them out, right?
I'm gonna put these flyers in your...
You get a magazine. You get a magazine. Everybody look under your seats. You all get a magazine.
Stonewall happened in 1969. Whenever they write about those Summer of Love songs, they never mention that.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Why?
Yeah.
Okay. You contact some rock stars.
All of them.
All of them.
Kanye. Oh, no, he's busy.
No,
I wouldn't know.
No, but I know the address to send that letter to.
800 Pennsylvania.
It wouldn't make it. I'm sure they would take one look at the contents and mark it as
that's true.
Security breach or some kind of nonsense.
And then the last one I'll share is 1973 is when they decided homosexual.
Okay, then do it. Oh, you need the password. Okay, just give me a minute.
We're going to take a break in just a few.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. Don't worry about it. Okay, in when now? 80,
there you go.
80 what? Kid.
The last one I'll share is that 1973 is when they decided homosexuality is no longer a mental illness. It's just who we are.
Right. So recent.
1973.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So recent. Well, and then for trans people, it was, it's been, I don't know the exact year, but it was a whole lot later that the DSM-5 was updated to make it not a mental disorder.
And now when young people come out, it's almost not a big deal anymore.
Right.
At least if you're...
I would love to never have to, I would love to one of these days go, hey, it's National Coming Out Day. That's a thing we used to do back in the day when people didn't accept you for being gay and trans and queer. And so you had to make this big fucking production of coming out to people.
who was it? Neil Patrick Harris
Mm-hmm.
was on The View the day before National Coming Out Day, and he had some. He was really funny the way he was like, I just don't think about it because like, why do you have to make a big deal about? Like that is the mindset. It should just be like matter of fact. Like, hey, what's your favorite color? Blue. You like boys or girls or both or whatever.
Right.
Oh, there's the answer. Okay, it's not like it shouldn't be like this.
Right.
Like, I don't know. It's just stigma.
Mm-hmm. And to your point about Stonewall, that is an incident in our past where trans people have been erased big time, because that we herald that as a hallmark moment of the gay rights movement, but there were a lot of trans people involved in that get left behind when we talk about it. Jesse says, MySpace outed me to my mom. I went to tell her I was bi, and my mom said, I know, I saw it on your MySpace. She had an account made to snoop on my life.
Oh my gosh.
Hey kids, MySpace is a thing like Facebook, but it was before Facebook, and then Facebook happened. But same idea, except that there were just lots of glitter, sparkly
the
gifts.
The thing that was cool about
annoying.
MySpace that I will never let go is you could very instantly, when you went to somebody's profile page, tell if they were your people or not, because they had a playlist of music. And if you had a playlist of music that was music that I liked, we're going to be cool. But if I get up on there and it's crap music that I hate, then no, we're not friends. Delete.
Right.
You can't do that with Facebook. Like, now it's all political memes and
I wanted to come back to...
But music was my thing.
Yeah. I wanted to come back to something you mentioned about family friendly. And I was going a completely different direction than that went. But this goes into my old queer people like trying to fit into the community bucket, which is oftentimes when there are events for the queer community, it's a late night party and Speedos and glitter, like house music, and it's a party.
Sorry.
You lost the bass in there. The bass, bass dropped out.
I
Gotta build it back up.
Got you.
Thanks, girl.
So, I have not mentioned this with any specificity before, but I'm going to, and I hope that they know the intent that this comes from. So, Pride 48 has their annual event every year. And when I listen to the pitch, when they talk about, hey, this is what we're going to do, and in this year they were in New Orleans, it doesn't sound like a family thing. Like, it doesn't sound very kid friendly, family welcoming. And that's fine. There can certainly be spaces that aren't. And I think that's obviously an okay thing.
Yeah.
But as a near 40-year-old queer person
with a family, finding
that group
is
really hard. I think it just doesn't exist. And again, unless you want to go down to downtown Orlando, and even then, that's Parliament House and bathhouses and like party time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think even like we did gay days that one year.
Mm-hmm.
When I was about...
they did Transpire at gay days.
I was about to pop pregnant, and we walked through gay days to go to the Transpire event.
Yeah.
And
and it was just oiled up boys with their...
I was like, say what? Holy... Damn. Okay. I was not prepared for that.
Really?
I
don't think we ever talked about that.
I totally had no idea that that's what we were walking into. I don't know why I didn't know that. I just was like, okay, what the heck? Even in the immense amount of pain I was in because I had sciatica with a little towards the end of the pregnancy, it was bad. I could barely walk. But I was like, what? We're going to have a shortage on tanning oil now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no more baby oil in Florida. There is no more. Somebody get the butter because that's all you're going to have left. Like,
Well,
it was just grease everywhere. And I just remember going, oh my gosh.
yeah.
But there were no kids to be found. Like, I don't remember really seeing any kids there. But that's like a lot of these events. Like,
Right. And that's why I liked that, last year when we were at Orlando Pride, they had the little kids area set up.
Right.
That was great. Way to
they
go.
did that again this year. That's Disney.
Yeah, yeah.
Disney does that.
Of course they do.
Yeah.
It's Disney. And then the parade is very,
Yeah. There was like one or two people in the parade that I was like, whoa, that's cover your eyes, kids.
Let me count the vans.
But to that point, though, what was it? The veterans that was I don't even know what float it was, but there was these two guys sitting up on the back of a convertible commercial.
Yeah.
And they stopped and they kissed, and I watched them go down the road. They had their pivot points, and every time they stopped, they make out. Everybody goes crazy. But then you said,
yes. So I heard from behind us, right, and we were right up against the bike rack.
Yeah,
we were right
we
up
were
front.
on the road. Yeah,
and it really wasn't that crowded. There weren't a lot of people.
There was a lot of people walking back behind us. Like there was foot traffic.
Yeah, it was a clear walkway behind us. It wasn't jam packed. And I heard some mother walk by with her daughter and say, "You don't need to see that."
Yes, she does.
And I was like, you don't bring your daughter to a fucking gay pride parade and then tell her she doesn't need to see it. No, you do need to see it. Oh, I was so mad.
Yeah, I was like,
if they had been standing behind us, I might have turned and made a face or something.
Like when you said that though, like I didn't realize you were saying that you. I thought you were saying what she said, like you were, and I was like, what the? Because I was like cheering for these guys, and I'm like, oh, shut up! Like I thought you were saying it like sarcastically,
right, okay,
like trying to like, and then I realized you were actually somebody just said that, and I was like, what the hell? So yeah, I don't know, that kind of ticked me off. Like you cannot come down here and not know this is what you're going to be walking into. It's not. I don't think that she'd take her kid into a club, but there's signs everywhere. This is an event that happens.
Right. And it seemed fairly obvious to me that that's why they were here.
Oh, okay.
Like, well, I don't know that they were just.
Do you think that
I don't know.
speaks to a problem in the community? Because I know that there are people in the community that just don't necessarily want to see the stuff like that kind of, like there's still squeamish, prudish gays.
Sure.
So, I don't know, but still, I think if you're there and you're at an event, you're there either as a member of the community or an ally, and that's not behavior becoming of.
And this girl was probably about the age as our son, maybe 8, somewhere around in there. She looked to be.
It's just funny because I would have grabbed our son's head and gone, "Hey, look at that!"
Right. Right.
But I was also the kid who my parents never really told me to cover my eyes when we would watch movies and people would start kissing, but I would do it. Like 8 years old, I'd be like, I don't want to watch that. Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to go down a total side road tangent, but I'll try to.
Don't do that.
No.
Do you think Kailin got lost or is she playing with the kids?
She's probably playing video games.
But he said he needed a password.
I
He
don't
doesn't have it. I wrote it down.
Did you send it to her?
I don't know. Well, when we take a break, I'll go.
Okay. Anything else for History Month?
I loved in the Pride Parade today, I saw at least 3 people in wheelchairs.
Yes.
Which was very cool.
I did notice that.
We need to make those spaces more accessible, and especially if we're going to make more children's areas at Pride events. Our community has a wonderful history of adopting children with special needs.
Yep.
So those go hand in hand. So that was great to see that they're including more people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I loved the GSAs.
Oh,
that was
I cried.
So great.
I cried. I was like, okay, I'm done. It was so good. I was wearing sunglasses because I just like lost it. I was like, oh my gosh.
They were there. They were there together. All these high school kids.
Yeah, and their parents.
And their parents.
Like that really touched me because some parents would be like, hey, okay, I'll drop you off and pick you up. Like, I'm not gonna go walk this thing with you.
And they looked so cool.
Yeah, they were awesome.
My fam from the T Network had an entry in the parade that was really cool. We caught Jennifer's attention and got her to come over and say hi.
I was bound and determined to get Jennifer's attention.
Yeah.
I was literally, like, when she finally saw us and realized we were there, I was literally about to reach back behind me and take the stack of bracelets.
And just chuck them.
And just chuck them at her. Like, just, she finally saw us, though, so it's good.
Yeah. And I wanted, I wanted to be in with that group.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I'm torn about that, too, because I don't go to their group.
You're not in there. Yeah.
I'm not in the T Network Orlando technically.
Yeah.
I'm helping to create one here in Polk County. But I'm sure I would be welcomed, right? Like, yeah, that would be no big deal. Sure, come on up. But again, I worked last night.
Right.
So
we should do, I wonder if they would accommodate it. We should do double booth space at Polk and do a T Network tent and a SarahTalk tent next to each other to get some people to come.
Yeah. Well, and so at Polk Pride last year, we did hand out.
Well, we had their stuff.
Yeah, some materials about. Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Goodbye. That's the password. Jesus Christ.
He looked at it like, what is this?
Holy mother.
Ugh.
That's an amazing onesie.
So much editing
Isn't
tonight.
it great? He's got that one, and he's got a dinosaur, and Ruby has a dinosaur too. They run around with their little dinosaurs. Sarah, where'd you go?
I'm back. I'm here. Shut the door.
All right. So what else? I'm trying to think of anything else that happened in the parade.
I'm trying to think of other groups that I saw that I was like, yeah, that's awesome. But the GSAs.
The History Museum.
Yeah.
I want to go there now. That's on my list. It's like was it the GLBT or was it the LGBT? I don't remember, but it was like the.
I think it started with a G because I thought you never see
There's
that.
like 3 camps in the world of what order you put those in. Yeah.
But they had like poster boards and they had like 1969 and whatever the milestone was.
Right.
And each person had a different year, and it was really cool. I was like, oh, I really want to go to that museum now and see. We should do that on one of our annual K-Bay at the Rays.
Yes.
I'm going. That is a thing now. I don't know if you heard that conversation.
Each person had a different sign with a different event, and I had this whole 3-act play in my head wondering, were they assigned signs or did they pick?
Yeah.
And one, I think it was an older person, had the pulse shooting.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, were you assigned that? Did you pick that and say, I'm going to acknowledge that this happened?
Yeah.
It won't be forgotten.
Right.
How did that all go down?
Yeah, that's it. It's interesting because
how would you ever pick one? There's so many amazing.
Right. I don't know. I just thought that was a cool thing. And then there was
the One Pulse Foundation with the parasols.
With the parasols.
That was really
And then
neat.
they had the angel wings out too.
Yeah.
With another group they had.
Yeah.
I think I only saw 2.
Yeah, there were only 2 in the parade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did we ever figure out if those white parasols were 49 parasols?
I don't know. I'm just making that assumption.
I want to say that's probably what it was.
Yeah.
Because it's a very, very distinct, like usually everybody's all decked out in their rainbow or their different flags or whatever to represent their own identity. But these were very, it seemed to me muted.
Yeah.
With just white parasol.
Yeah. And there were, comparative to last year, and maybe this is part of the difference in tone, there were, it seemed, more, obviously it's political, it's an election year.
Yeah.
So there were a lot of candidates that
yeah.
were, but, I say that, but then you've got Carlos out there cheerleading.
Carlos
Guillermo Smith.
He's
if you
amazing.
didn't hear our interview with him, Go back and listen to that. That was really good. I'll find out what episode it was.
He was awesome. And he walked last year, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
And he walked this year. And I saw Anna Eskamani's people, but I didn't.
Yeah, she was on the opposite side of the street. I saw her, and I think her sister both. I think they were together. Because
I was like, I was looking and I didn't see either one of them, but I thought, man, if I were her and I couldn't be here, I'd like pay my twin to come pretend to be me. Because okay, but if you saw her, then that's good.
So we talked to Carlos Guillermo Smith back on episode 36. Can you believe it's been that long ago?
So long ago.
And we talked to Anna Eskamani as well. Back on episode 75. So we need to get them back in here and catch up. But yeah, so they were both, rallied up the crowd. And then you had there is talk every time Pride comes around, and I think we had this conversation in June, that corporations, it's hard to tell whether they're genuinely embracing the community because they know that brings in a stronger workforce and builds creativity in their teams and is an all-around good thing for their company, or are they riding a wave?
Well, I think the answer to that question becomes very obvious when you stand on the parade route and you watch the different corporations that have paid for a spot. Because when you see JetBlue coming through and they've got 80 people in their group, if I'm working for JetBlue and they're saying, hey, we're going to do this parade, I'm not going to that parade if there's not something in it for me. So if they've got that many people, I feel like if they have that many people, those are people that are either in the community or allies to the community.
Right, they want to be there.
Because they're not getting paid to be there.
Right.
So I think it shows, like you had, hate to say it because I listen to the station all the time, but our local radio station had a car and they didn't have anybody. They had a car with their stuff on it and they didn't have anybody walking behind them. They didn't have anybody passing anything out. It was just them. And there was another radio station that had a little bit of, more people behind them. But like, if you look at that, I think that's where you're going to see the answer to that question.
Right.
Of course, the Hilton, I think, because there is Russell. Oh, that's Russell. Tell us about the Hilton. I forgot. He's a Hilton person now. But like, they had a huge float, but they also have money. But they also have a local Hilton presence here.
Yeah.
So like, they're gonna have. I feel like they probably had a genuine presence here that wasn't totally pushed by money.
Right.
I turned chat off to then get the password for the kid and completely forgot to turn it back on. So
well, you're not missing a whole lot. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, the second part of the show, and we'll finish out with this. I have a follow-up to the story we discussed last week about the transgender student who was made to sit outside during an active shooter drill. So parents descended upon the school board meeting on Tuesday, I think. And I have the audio from that school board meeting. We're not going to listen to the whole thing, obviously, but I've pulled out some clips and we'll go through those. And as things come up, we'll sidebar into topics of depression and suicide and self-harm and all of that stuff.
And then you're going to take us back up with Florida Man, right?
And then I'm going to bring you back up with 4 Florida Man stories.
And they're so good.
You've read 1. Well, 2. No, you read 2.
She read 2 because she's cheating over there. I haven't even read the one you gave me. I got bored. I read the first sentence and I got bored because I had to read it like Sarah would read it.
That's funny.
So I'll read it later.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Be right back. You're listening to SarahTalk.
Hello, my friends. This is Sister Mary Atheist of the Church of Religious Avoidance down here in Bumblefuck, Alabama. Now, my friends, my people, my brothers and sisters, do you feel lost? Do you feel that swelling urge to be a part of something better? Well, let the word of SarahTalk help you. If you've never known the word SarahTalk, learn it, live it, love it. Can I get an amen? No? Good, 'cause we don't do that shit round here. My friends, we must all remember that the good word of SarahTalk doesn't happen for free. So get yourself over to patreon.com/SarahTalk and help us spread the word. Plant that seed and help it grow into secular, peer-reviewed empirical evidence for the good of all. In the name of the Sarah, the Becca, and the science-based podcast, amen, hallelujah, and holy shit.
Hi, we're the Goo Goo Dolls. We're fortunate that our daughters have what they need to grow and learn. But that isn't the case for nearly 13 million kids in the U.S. that struggle with hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
In today's health-conscious society, you have many beverage choices. But do you know what's in all of them? So much sugar, sodium, and things you can't even pronounce. Dihydrogen monoxide. What's that? Sometimes you wish you just had a simple, more elegant solution for your beverage needs. Introducing H2O, the first ever chemical-free thirst quencher. H2O is simple, simply composed of 3 portions of 2 elements, hydrogen and oxygen. H2O means chemical-free, unlike water, which is filled with all sorts of shit. When we tested H2O,
You are listening to SarahTalk, you lucky people.
Hey, we're back.
Yeah, did
I
you
wasn't
forget?
paying. Hold on, I gotta switch the camera.
See, you got all used to me doing this, and then you took it away from me. And now our audience.
Now we're back.
Our audience is suffering.
Listen.
What do you got to say?
Last week, we talked about the transgender girl in Stafford County, Virginia, who was made to sit alone in a hallway during a lockdown drill at her middle school. She was in a PE class at the time. The shelters are locker rooms for that class.
Mm-hmm.
And the teachers just balked on what to do with her. So I want to discuss some updates tonight. Tuesday night at a Stafford County School Board meeting, the community really came out, no pun intended, coming out to speak on the issues. The public comment session was over 70 minutes long.
Wow.
So obviously we're not going to play all 70 minutes. But we take these one at a time, and as these topics come up, we'll break into them. You look like you had something to say.
Nope. Trying to not look bored. I'm kidding.
Thanks.
No, I looked down at the
appreciate
screen
that.
and I went, oh my God, I'm hiding behind the microphone. Everybody's going to think I'm over here crying or something.
So some background on this district. There, you will hear them talk about an incident in 2015 that involved an elementary school student who is transgender in the district. And the school board was trying to determine restroom policy at that time. And as you can imagine, this is 2015. And so, remember House Bill 2? Remember Senate Bill 6? And all of those same people came out with their torches and pitchforks screaming about the scary trans people that are going to harm them in the bathrooms, right? The same thing happened in the school district in 2015 when they were considering what to do with this trans kid in elementary school. So the school at that time, it's the individual school, had created a policy to allow the trans student to use the restroom that matched their gender identity. During the pitchforks and torch meeting, the school board decided to override that decision from the local school level and implement a new policy that was nothing short of separate but equal, which we know doesn't work. So their ruling was that students have to use the restroom matching their gender at birth, or an alternate facility like a staff bathroom. And we've talked a gazillion times about why that does not work. So the start of this, this starts off with their superintendent, Dr. Kinzer, who is new to the district. And I think that's what's going to make all of the difference in how this thing ends up, how this thing works out, because he seemed to be very genuine and apologetic. And anyway, so here's his statement.
The citizen comment period. I'm going to ask Dr. Kisner to address the board and the public.
I'd like to read a statement that I wrote. Stafford County Public Schools does not comment on individual student incidents in order to avoid divulging confidential information. However, I would like to make some brief remarks on a matter that I know is important to many people in the audience tonight and those watching on TV, as well as the school board and me. Although there has been some inaccurate information shared both on social media and the general media, there is some relevant information that I feel obligated to share. A recent lockdown drill at one of our schools should have been handled differently. Although I believe there was no malicious intent by any of our staff members, we must ensure that all of our practices and procedures are built on a foundation of equity, dignity, and respect for all children, and that the safety of everyone in our school system is never compromised. We did not live up to my unwavering expectation that every child and adult, regardless of race, religion, color, disability, gender, and sexual orientation, is treated with respect and dignity, and for that I apologize to the student, the family, and the Stafford community. This unfortunate situation provides an opportunity for the community to work together and for the school system to reevaluate all of its safety and equity procedures. In fairness to the staff involved, I am not sure they were given clear directions and expectations during this lockdown drill. In retrospect, they realize it could have been handled more appropriately, and we are all committed to making that happen. I will be reaching out to the LGBTQ community and other stakeholders to be part of the change process, coupled with our Equity, Diversity, and Opportunity Committee that has its next meeting this month. We will plan a series of appropriate professional development programs, review our procedures, and if necessary, make policy recommendations to our school board. I conclude by saying that as a superintendent, I have unwavering belief that is followed by action, and that everyone, both adults and children, are treated with respect, fairness, and dignity.
Now, there's one point in there just a moment ago where he said, if necessary. I don't know if you caught that. And he says, and make policy changes if necessary. And one of the speakers later picks up on that and really kind of rakes him over the coals about it. And then at the end, he was like, no, you look, you misunderstood me. Obviously, we all agree that something needs to be done. But anyway.
Right.
I thank those who have sent emails with suggestions to help us improve. And I also ask those who have sent attacking emails to various staff members to please stop. It is not helpful. I also know most of the emails and postings are not coming from people in Stafford or even our local region. I am confident that working together, we will make our school system and community a more welcoming place for all. Thank you.
And he's right. They have caught the attention of the nation with this thing.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're getting letters from all over.
I just it still makes me mad. But I'm glad that it's caught the attention that it has.
Yeah.
because now it will be fixed, and hopefully nobody else will have to go through that in that.
Right. In a little bit, you'll hear someone read a letter that the trans student in question wrote in response to all of this. Jesse says, I appreciate this response so much by the superintendent. Yeah. Again, I think it felt pretty genuine. I don't know. You tell me what you think. But it seemed like he and they kind of ribbed him throughout this. They're like, hey, welcome to Stafford. Soup. You're new to the area. Sorry, we're kind of a shithole.
It's hard, though, because it's like you walking into a new thing and you don't know what to expect, and you don't have a presence there yet, really.
Right.
And then you got some.
But they also talked about his record as a superintendent,
Yeah.
like, and in various leadership roles that he's got the qualifications. So we'll see. The next few speakers, I did not have a chance to trim the audio and write down who they were and what they were, but I do happen to know that the next one is a trans man. This is the public comment section.
Good evening. My name is Jackson Sheriff Parker. My address is 11.
I'm going to have to cut this out in the post because they require you to say the address in the meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to have to do some editing.
Yeah, you are.
Stafford, Virginia. The
We'll do
purpose,
it like
I
that.
have no organizational affiliation. Just a resident. Good evening, County Board members. Thank you for your service. Again, my name is Jackson Sheriff Parker. I've been a Virginia resident for over 10 years and a Stafford County resident for over 6. At face value, what does a 52-year-old man know about being a transgender girl? You see, allegedly, I was supposed to be a girl too. Even my parents thought so, but back in the 60s, transgender did not exist, but neither did the internet, cable TV, or social media. For 49 years, I struggled hard with it. Why was I born in the wrong body? Why couldn't I be who my heart and brain told me I was? During those 49 years, I went ahead and pretended to be someone I wasn't. I served in the military, then as a federal law enforcement officer where I'm still employed today, currently at headquarters in D.C. 4 days before my 50th birthday, I finally had the courage to change the course of my life. I transitioned from female to male. In doing so, I gave up my entire life's history. You won't find my name on any of the major accomplishments I achieved, and my birth certificate still shows I was born a female. The Department of Defense in the state of Virginia corrected my identification paperwork to show my name and gender as I present today. My goal here in speaking to you tonight is I hope I can change the stereotypes, bias, and fear that some of you may have with transgender persons in public bathrooms and locker rooms. For those of you who feel uncomfortable or afraid to share these facilities with transgender persons, I say, you already have. You've been doing it for years, you just didn't know it.
Amen.
Some of you shared the men's bathroom tonight with me before this meeting. It wasn't too long ago that we told children and adults which water fountains they could use with no more reasoning than simple bias and discrimination. It has come up again, although this time you're endangering a young girl's life by telling her she's expendable when it comes to protecting her in a case of emergency. There's no safe place for her in Stafford County schools. The only difference between that little girl and me is that you would have directed me to the boys' locker room tonight in the event of a lockdown. Which locker room would you direct me to now? Thank you for your time.
Right? Listen to this crowd.
Man.
Now, admittedly, he was the first speaker, and then afterward,
If you could hold your clapping, that will help with the timing here.
Well,
yeah, because they're
I
trying
mean,
to.
they have limited
they're
time. They're trying to
move
get
through.
everybody through.
Yeah.
That was eloquent.
Right.
Yeah.
Amazing. And he's absolutely right on every count.
Yep.
You've used a restroom with me before. They would send me into a men's facility if in the event of a situation tonight. You're all, you know.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's the next one.
To the members of the board, the superintendent, the educators of Stafford County Public Schools, those in attendance, and Missy. No one ever says hi to you, Missy. Hi, Missy. There is major concern. My name is Christian Peabody. I'm the president of the Stafford Education Association. I'm also the vice chair for Virginia Education Association's District Q. There is a major concern throughout Stafford County Public Schools regarding the clarity and equity of division-wide anti-discrimination policy and practice by and for both educators and students. For many of our own educators and students, their school is the only safe haven they know, and if our educators and students don't feel their schools are safe for them, then what do they have? Rather than opportunities to thrive, they're burdened with survival on a daily basis. And sadly, this speaks immediately to the situation some of our educators and students endure daily. And it also speaks to the lost potential of empowerment our educators can offer our students. Yet it also speaks to the opportunity the division now can offer to help address and support this collective concern. And we are then presented with a singularly unique opportunity of establishing, implementing, and supporting universal safety measures through across-the-board anti-discrimination training, which can be fully delivered on a division-wide basis by the end of this academic year, while being supported by drafted or revised policy within the next few months. And the Stafford Education Association is prepared to be that prime mover. We are currently engaged with local, state, and national level advocacy bodies, associations, and organizations to bring subject matter expert-driven plans and policies for implementation in concert with Stafford County Public Schools that will allow us to immediately support educators and students pleading for salvation and begging for guidance. We need to break any perpetuation of a culture of silence regarding discriminating practices occurring within our school system through open and honest discussions, as uncomfortable as they may be, so we can see what's going well and we have a context and direction to target and amend what is not. SEA wishes to serve as the broker for reconciliation of those concerns. If our educators feel protected, then our students will feel protected and advocated for as they grow and learn about themselves during a remarkably beautiful and pivotal time in their lives. Every educator is our educator, and every child is our child. Every student is our student, and it is our wish and our hope that SEA have the distinct privilege of becoming that agent of change in partnership with this board and the division on behalf of the collective community. Thank you for your time. We look forward to providing any service we can to this board and everyone else.
So you have the Education Association on board, right? We're talking training and policy, and that's going to come up a few times when we talk about training. And I don't remember if I pulled any of these clips or not, but there's another side to that training coin, which is you can't train a hateful bigot. If they're gonna hate you because you're who you are, no amount of sensitivity training and diversity training, and it may even be a backfire effect by sending them into that kind of training. So anyway, maybe we'll get into that too.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Trigger, and I live at
Damn it, I forgot.
Tonight I speak to you as an educator and a proud member of the Stafford Education Association and of Equality Stafford. Stafford County Public Schools has one of the fastest growing populations in the Commonwealth, and with that growth has come an increase in diversity of the population. Unfortunately, our policies have not kept up with the changing population and is almost non-existent when it comes to the LGBTQ populations within our students and staff. Quite frankly, I'm tired. I'm tired of not being able to openly support students if they have questions about themselves. I'm tired of students being afraid to be themselves. I'm tired of not being able to address these issues in a productive manner with fellow staff members, because honestly, most do want to give equity to all of our students. I'm tired of people feeling excluded just because policy doesn't exist in support. Lastly, I'm tired of people worrying that they might get fired because they are caught in between doing the right thing and quote what the rules are. As educators, oftentimes we end up being the mentor to students, especially those in unique situations, whether it be a lack of parental supervision, poverty, bullying, special education, or being a member of the LGBTQ community. According to the APA, suicide attempts among the LGBTQ student community are among the highest in the country when compared to other subgroups. And yet studies show that just having one person show they care drops their chances of self-harm in half. Oftentimes, that responsibility falls on us, the educator. Tonight, we are taking our first step in righting our previous wrongs. As I speak, the Stafford Education Association and Equality Stafford are putting forth a deadline, all SCPS educators will have LGBTQ training by the end of the 2018-2019 school year. The training will be done by an independent third-party organization, side by side. This training is not to shame our employees, but to empower them to make the right decisions when working with our LGBTQ students and staff. Simply stated, I'm tired of being tired.
So we're starting to hear some of that, the statistics, right? If you don't support these kids, this is what's going to happen to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing that I noticed out of that one was he says LGBTQ, which is like the third iteration that I don't hear very often.
Yeah.
It's either LGBTQ or GLBTQ, and this is LBGT. Anyway, we need to pick a word. I've been saying this for a long time. I don't care what the word is. Do we reclaim queer
right
to mean the whole community?
I'm with
or
that.
do you
I vote
pick
for that.
Yeah.
pick some? I don't care what it is. Unicorns, rainbows. It doesn't matter. But let's pick a word and move off of this acronym thing.
Is that what you were signing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because they could see it in the camera. That you were signing.
Sorry.
Kaylin's in the room. She's just snuggling with the little one. Like, cute mommies do.
Uh-huh.
So that's Bailey and I are like talking and looking and smiling at the little one. And so if we look distracted, that's why. But I love that that's what you're like, that's great.
I learned that this is ASL for lesbian.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a emoji that or an iPhone.
Oh,
there's
yes.
an iPhone emoji that is that.
Fabulous.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But that's not what it means. That's not what. That's
Yeah.
not why they made it. They
Right.
just kind of somebody figured it out.
I'm gonna keep moving through these. So each of these speakers gets 3 minutes to talk. Again, I didn't pull all of them. There are just a few more that I have that we'll run through.
Good evening. My name is Carol Medawar, and welcome to Dr. Kisner. I imagine you must be wondering, what have I gotten myself into? Only 1 month into the job, and the news is full of negative stories involving Stafford County. Just some history. I stood here in 2015 regarding policy that school board was putting in place that allowed a student's gender to interfere with their safety. I don't blame the staff at the school because you are responsible for the policy discussion and the tone that this school system have set in place. I know that some of you were not on the board at that time, and certainly Dr. Kisner, you were not with us then. Still, the pattern was the same. A long list of speakers stood here at the podium and pleaded with the board to set a policy that makes a student that is transgender feel safe at school. At that time, information was presented to you about students and what might happen if they are not supported by their school community. Many presented statistics about bullying and risk for suicide. At that point, 3 years ago, we urged you to understand that this was a life and death discussion. The board decided to create a separate but equal policy, which history has told us is just another name for discrimination. You allowed many outside groups that promoted fear and divisiveness to manipulate you into thinking that there was a danger in doing the right thing by our students. You, as the policy leaders, are responsible for setting the tone for this division. You have the power to set policy, and you have the power to change that policy. I heard excuses in 2015 that you wanted to wait and see what happened in other parts of the state. Well, you were elected to protect the more than 26,000 students right here in Stafford County and protect them now. You can do better this time. If this had not been a drill, you may be responsible for an unspeakable tragedy. Many other students and staff across our schools are counting on you to set the tone at the top that Stafford County Public Schools are safe places and inclusive places. Not just physically safe, but a place that's also emotionally safe. In addition to a policy that addresses this specific safety concern and accesses to various places in the school, you must also address the inclusive climate, the professional development of staff, and create opportunities to educate our entire community. You set the tone. It's your action that results in the news stories that are created. We have practice drills for a reason so that we can identify weaknesses and make changes. Thank goodness it was a drill. Please don't miss the opportunity to learn from what happened and promote that growth mindset. We ask our students to learn from their mistakes and make changes and do better. I believe you now know better. Please show us you do better. In closing, I want to say these news stories do not represent the good things that are going on in Stafford. As a previous teacher here and a parent, I can speak firsthand that this is not what should be defining us. There are amazing things happening every day in our schools. Your previous decisions, the bickering, the politics, only make it harder to tell those positive stories. Stop the political football with our kids, get the tone at the top corrected, for only then will we have a better chance at changing the narrative in Stafford County. I will email you my remarks, and I welcome the opportunity to work with you on these policy changes. Thank you.
So there you've got, kind of the backstory of what happened in 2015, where the school made this, the school had an inclusive policy, and the board came back and said, nope, not going to do that. We're going to wait. That infuriated me. We're going to wait and see what the rest of the state does.
Let's be reactive.
Right. And if you go back and listen to some of that audio, what you will hear, what was going on in 2015? Well, the Obama administration had issued guidance to all of the schools saying treat trans kids like people.
Yeah.
And Obama mentioned us in the State of the Union
the
first time.
Yeah. So what are we waiting for? Like, the guidance has been given.
Yep.
Now I don't know if that came down in 2015 yet or not. I don't remember when that came down.
No, it had to be.
That may have. I don't know. It had to have been by that point. Somebody will inevitably comment in the chat.
Isn't it maddening that this wasn't even about the bathrooms day to day? This was about an active shooter situation.
Drill.
And we have active shooters all the time in our schools now.
Yep.
And even then, the teachers still felt that their hands were tied. And you don't stay a public school teacher unless you love those kids.
Right.
They're not in it for the money, but they, however much they must have loved that child, felt there was nothing else they could do.
Right. Or they're, as this speaker said, torn between, I know what the right thing to do is, but the policy says that I shouldn't.
Right. Yeah.
And then you got to think, maybe they thought, and I'm just trying to get into the heads of these teachers, right? Okay, if this were an actual real life active shooter, I would do the right thing. But because it's just a drill, I'm not sure that I can. Am I going to get in trouble for violating the district's policy?
So stupid.
Yeah.
And that takes us back to what we discussed with Stonewall, where trans women were in a lot more danger than anyone else during that event.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And if this had been a real shooting, that trans child would have been in more danger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Good evening, staff and school board members. About 40 years ago, I was sitting where Dr. Chase is sitting. I was a member of the school board from Falmouth District. I was here in 2015 when we were talking about a transgender child. And at the end of that, I thought there would be policy changes, and I hoped that one of the changes would, or many of the changes, would make transgender children feel more safe and more comfortable. That does not seem to have happened. With the lockdown, I would think we would be directing children to the safest place we need to send them. But evidently, we did not include all the children. I believe that you are committed to making some changes with this, and I hope that you do, because I know Stafford can do better than we have done in the past in this area. Thank you.
So there you go. This former board member saying, hey, let's do the right thing. No, I forgot what clip I was on.
How y'all doing? My name is Reverend Leonina. I am here to speak about the same issue, and I won't give you all my address for security purposes.
Ooh.
Right? Now, I watched the entire thing. It's 2-3 hours long. A lot of them did not give their address. And at no point, or some of them said, hi, my name is Sarah, and I live in the so-and-so district.
Right.
Like, not a street address. And not once did anyone in the board, stop them and say, I'm sorry, hold on. Can you please state your name and address for the records or whatever? So I don't know that they care. But that's saying something.
Yeah, it is.
I lived in this area for 20 years. I'm a member of ISAT of FXBG, Southerners on New Ground, and I do language justice interpretation for the Virginia Anti-Violence Project. And I come here in solidarity with this child as a trans person myself, and to lend help with their family as a parent of a trans child myself. One of parents' biggest nightmares have become true for this family, that their precious child is mocked, left to feel unsafe in the place where children should feel the safest. And I say that with a heavy heart as I watch my own child goes to school every day, not knowing that this could be the last time that I see them. Because we all watch the news. No one feels safe in schools anymore. With this much violence being perpetrated against our delicate children from all fronts, these new threats and stressors bring a lot of anxiety to young minds. These active shooter drills bring that too. You can talk to children and they will tell you how affected they are to pretend like a bad person is coming into their school to hurt us. These are the words of my 5-year-old child. I doubt that the staff here is trauma-informed enough to be able to detect and help children who are responding unwell to drills, and that they understand that this goes beyond the clear transphobia in this issue. I say that because it's obvious by the staff actions that they do not care about the safety of the student, or to think that they can choose, or they think that they can choose which child to care for. Their actions said to this child and to all of us here that their life isn't safe in their care, that they would rather argue about building facility usage, gender issues, which they're clearly ignorant and untrained to do, and a child's anatomy, which to me is very disturbing in its own right, to be sure, and then to be sure that this child is safe. In my line of work, I have been to schools that have the proper training to treat and value all people with dignity and respect from a young age. Middle school is hard enough for a child without transphobia. When teachers choose to act violently towards students, they are saying to the group that this is allowed, this is okay. This cannot be tolerated with people that work with children. At minimum, staff needs to be trained to do better and nothing less than all that the family asks for and this community is asking for will be given in order to have restorative justice. Thank you.
They have a 3-minute time limit. That's what the bing bong was. So a couple of things out of that. She talked about the staff actions. They didn't care. And you heard in Dr. Kisner's apology address that we're not blaming anyone and that this wasn't the fault of the teachers. And later you'll hear the kids say themselves that, like, look, I'm not blaming anyone, but we need to fix it. Right. So nobody really is blaming the teachers. Again, they were caught between bad policy and doing the right thing.
Right.
The other thing she mentioned that I wanted to just jump in on was the idea of new stressors and anxiety in our schools today. And boy, is that ever true. We didn't have lockdown drills when I was a kid. We didn't have tons of school shootings when I was a kid. We also didn't have the challenge of gender nonconforming students wanting to use different restrooms. Everybody fit into the box. Everybody fit into the binary because they had to in the closet. They didn't, they weren't able to be out about it. They were there, certainly. We were there. I was there. But you couldn't be out about it.
Right.
And so how much of these issues are, we make fun of the Senate Judiciary Committee all the time about, you look across there and add their ages up, and you'll come up over 1,000. Like they're just all old men. Like and from the old man perspective, do you have the pulse of, you know, what's really going on in America in 2018? And that makes me wonder too, you know, with all of these new thing, oh my gosh, this is all so new.
Mm-hmm.
Is it just that we have inexperienced leaders when it comes to these issues?
Well, sure.
Yeah.
It has to be. That has to be because, of course, because yes, it is all new in terms of being out.
Right.
And so these leaders that have no experience with
Right.
somebody who is out, they have no idea what to do with that.
Right.
And you'll see it. You'll see it when you do see somebody who has been down this road before, and they know exactly what the verbiage is and what how to address a situation, and you know.
And you hear from some of these people
Yeah.
that get it.
Nate Evarts.
And I live at Sesame Street.
This is good. This is a kid.
Can't hear anything.
Hi, I'm Nate Everts. I live in Stafford County, and I would like to speak about LGBTQ issues.
Okay.
So I was here last year, and I spoke about bathroom issues, and I heard that nothing has changed. So I'm back. Now, last time, I brushed over this lightly, but safety is a big issue. LGBTQ kids are targeted for bullying all the time, and it's a big problem. Bullying isn't dealt with effectively. Teachers and administrators just say, stop that, and that's not okay, but they rarely do anything that works. I should know. It took multiple attempts from myself meeting with teachers and my mother coming to school on several occasions before my bully stopped. I'm lucky it didn't come to physical violence because too often it does. When it comes to LGBTQ kids, they have it worse. I don't have to worry about policies protecting me, but LGBTQ kids do. Stafford County Public Schools policies don't protect them. LGBTQ kids should get the same protection others do. Now, an incident occurred recently during a lockdown drill. I'm sure you know what happened, so I'll spare you the details. I want to say, I don't think it's the teacher's fault. They're scared of the backlash they might get, especially without support. They shouldn't hesitate to put any student in any safe place, regardless of the space being labeled boy or girl, if shooters coming down the hall. Policies need to be changed and training needs to occur so that doesn't happen again. I hope to see policies changed to meet these needs. Thank you for your time.
Let's get some kids to write some policy,
Right?
huh?
Once more for the people in the back.
Wow.
You know,
it's that simple.
Yeah. Not difficult. And I just had this thought. So this was a drill, obviously, but come a live shooter activity, right? You don't go, is the shooter a boy or a girl, and then decide
where
you're going to go to get away from the shooter. You're just getting away. Like,
one of the things that really touched me there was when the conversation of bullying came up. And I know you do some work in this. God, I can't even pull an adjective out of my brain to describe the brilliance of this kid in saying they have training, they have plans, they're taught, you know, how to handle bullies, but it doesn't work. And I should know because I've been there.
Yeah.
It's time to start listening to kids.
Mm-hmm. Who said Bob Doyle says that?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, vote Bob Doyle. I got 2 things in the mail from him.
I get stuff from him every week. I'm like, Bob, you need to
Just
send
save
this
your
to
money.
people who actually need you to send it to them. You've got my vote.
We're gonna vote for you, buddy. Don't waste your postage. Yeah, listen to these kids. It's the same thing we said after Parkland. These kids know what they need.
They are living this. They're the ones that are going through this every day. They're the ones that need to have a voice in this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing with these old people in Congress. They're not living there. This isn't their reality anymore. Their voice is obsolete, so they need to move on.
Well, and that displays itself in the bullying comment here where, well, when we were kids, sure, we bullied each other and teased each other and pushed each other around, and you just learn to be a man and suck it up or whatever stupid nonsense that comes along with that, right? No, let's teach your kids not to be jerks. Can we do that?
Right?
Maybe we should try to do that.
Yeah.
And so
it's a lot easier to teach a child to not be a jerk than it is to teach a child to shut up, sit down, just bottle it all up.
Yeah.
And it's a lot less harmful.
Right. So, but that leaves us again in one of these places where the adults in charge had different experiences as children than the children are having now.
Right.
Than the children, than my parents had.
Back in my day.
It's, yeah.
That's what it is.
So now you've got a bunch of adults making these policies, and the best they've come up with is stop that.
Well, like our kid comes home from school and they have behavior cards.
Uh-huh.
When I was in school,
we had a paddle when I was in school.
We had
we did.
You acted up. You got
Holes
your
drilled in
name written on the board in chalk.
Yes, I remember that.
Strike one.
Yeah.
Then if you acted up again, you got a mark next to your name on the board.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got 2 marks, you go to the principal's office.
Yep.
End of discussion.
Yep.
There's no, well, your son today had a yellow day because he was just only paying attention a little bit and only acting up a little bit. Or whatever, or everything's all good. It was all green. Or he had to go to the principal's office, so he's orange. Like, all this color-coded behavior nonsense. No.
Yeah.
So I totally get that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, today, even, I just, it's so different now.
It's so different. Yeah.
And I don't know how much of it is trying to control the environment so that, because of things like school shootings.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to have a more controlled environment because you need to know that you can clap your hands 3 times and you have everyone's attention in the room because you got to get into that closet, turn the lights off.
Right.
Like, that's scary. But I don't remember being in the class and the teacher like having a special whatever they do to get everybody to shut up and listen.
It's a good trick.
It's a great trick, but we didn't have that. It was like
right.
She had a little bell and she'd ding the bell and it's time to line up to go do this. And
Mm-hmm.
So she had her tricks, but not because there's a really bad thing happening.
Right.
Like the worst drill we'd ever had to practice for was tornado drill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
Like fire drills were fun because we got to go outside, but tornado drill was you go get down in the hallway and put your head between your ass.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's all we ever did
Kiss
too.
your ass goodbye.
Right. Okay, the next 5 clips, I did not pull out ahead of time, so I'm going to be kind of winging it on the fly here on the YouTube.
How much longer is this?
So,
it's been a long day, dude.
I know. We're going to wrap it up. I promise.
Okay.
I'm Jane Ellen Teller. I live in Fredericksburg, but I have 5 children who went all the way through Stafford County schools many years ago. I came here very angry, and I have a very angry thing that I wrote. But my anger is a bit diffused because of your apology. And I appreciate that.
Right.
And I'm hoping that speaks for everyone here. I can't imagine, really, that it wouldn't, but Stafford County has, done some things in the past. So I'm just going to not read that. It's kind of, but I would like to speak directly to what I think is the root problem here. I know that training and is important, but I think the policy of the bathroom separation is the root cause of this we and they situation. The trans children who are forced to go to the bathroom of their birth certificate, is that the way it's defined? Right? I think that is the root of the problem. And when you force a boy, someone who identifies as a boy, to go to a girl's bathroom or the family bathroom, you're making a separation there that causes this policy of not being accepted. So I think this bathroom policy should be looked at again, and it's very detrimental. I happen to have my daughter and her family live in Massachusetts, and my daughter has a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I just spent last week with them. And this 6-year-old is a fully transitioned trans boy. He calls himself Hank. That was not the name he was born with, but by age 4.5 to 5, he transitioned. And he has not met any resistance at all. He went to nursery school, he went to kindergarten, and now he's in the 1st grade. And people there don't know him by anything but a boy. He's a boy. When I was there, we had a little conversation about, well, you know, his parents were in Europe, and he said, oh, I think it'd be nice to live in France. That would be really, really nice. I'd like that. And I said, well, yeah, it's a good place, but just be sure you don't move to Virginia. And he said, why? And I said, well, because they would make you go to the girls' bathroom. And he went, that was horrible to him. Thank you for your time.
So I love hearing that. That was great. And how many times have we said, so 2 parts. First, right, here is a mature person who we often give crap for not getting it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Old people just don't get it. Who gets it? But also, how many times have we said, a lot of people don't get it until it personally affects you.
Right.
When your kid comes to you and says, crying in the back seat of the car, I'm gay. When your sister calls you and says, hey, one of my kids just came out as trans to me. That's the stuff that really gets in and changes people. And so those are the voices that we definitely need to be hearing in situations like this. Okay, so let me try to queue up the next one. This is going to be such a pain in the ass.
By Brandy Quirk.
This guy's great.
Hello, my name is Marvin Stearns, and I live at 18 Puritan Place.
Damn it, I'll have to fix that.
From Stafford High School in 2017, I went to Stafford County Public Schools my entire life, and I am now a substitute teacher in autism classrooms here in Stafford County.
Right?
Nice.
When I was in high school, there was another I'm a trans boy. And in my high school, there was another trans boy, and he was like full on. He had a beard, he had a mustache, he was told that he could not use the boys' restroom. He was going to be given a pass to use the women's restroom. So me, not passing very well, knew that I didn't even have a chance of going to the men's restroom. So I went into the women's restroom a couple times, and several times I was asked by classmates, Marvin, why are you in here? Boys aren't allowed in this restroom. If it weren't for my art teachers and the drama teachers at Stafford High School, the drama teachers allowed me to use the single-stall bathroom in the drama department. I can't imagine what it would be like for anyone who didn't have that, because if I didn't have that, I would have been part of a statistic. I don't know why. I'm sorry. I don't know why I had to fight for my right to pee. I just want to go to the bathroom. I just want to be a normal person. I'm not here to hurt anybody. I don't want to make anyone uncomfortable, but I want to be treated as a normal person. And for the girl in middle school is rough. Even more rough than high school. And it's just hard to be a regular person in middle school. Nothing extraordinary about you, but being trans in middle school or being LGBT, it must just be is just terrible. So I just, from the support of my teachers, I didn't end up being a statistic. And it's because of those teachers. I was in the drama department, so I was there every day after school and on Saturdays. I was with my teachers every single day, and their support is what kept me going. And if the teachers need to support us, the teachers need to be trained on how to accept us and how to treat us with respect. And it's extremely important because those are the people we spend the most time with. Those are the people that we need to accept us and to work with us. And that we need it so badly. We just want to be normal. We don't want to be singled out. I don't want to be singled out. I'm just me. Thank you.
Right. One of the things that I took away out of that one was, and I swear to God, I'll try to be brief, was the single stall restroom. Right. Now, we have often criticized that as a policy solution because of the separate but equal, you're an other, you go over here. And good luck, because if the nurse is at lunch, you're just shit out of luck, right? But in this case, he would have had nothing if not for the drama teachers and the single stall restroom.
And he became a teacher, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. A teacher of autistic kids. That's great.
That's what we need.
Oh, you looked like you were going to say something.
I was, but it's irrelevant, I think. I don't know.
Oh, well, but you need to buy me time while I
okay.
cue
Well, I
these
was
clips
going to,
up.
about the single stall restrooms, I think a lot of the newer schools that are being built in a way where, like our son's school, on every floor is multiple floor buildings. Next to the main restroom, where's the boys' room and the girls' room, directly across the hall is the teacher planning room. That they're not locked. You can go in, and there's 2 single stall restrooms.
Oh, really? I thought those rooms were locked.
No.
Oh.
There's 2 single stall restrooms in there, and so
right.
I think if there was and it's every single floor, so it's right next to all the regular bathrooms. I think if every school built it that way, and then they had these cases where a kid, because I would think. There is going to be a portion of kids who don't want to go into either bathroom.
Right. I was going to say, and not even trans kids, just kids who are anxious about being in a space with other kids.
Sure. And I think, why not make those spaces available? You need a hall pass to go to the bathroom. So make a special pass for that one kid who has anxiety about going to the bathroom or has issues with, that way it's not necessarily you're telling them you have to go to this bathroom, but here's a safe option.
Right, there are options in the policy.
And you don't have to go down to the administration building and go to the nurses building because it's they're all so far.
Yep.
But I do think a lot of these newer schools, the way that they're building the facilities,
right.
I'm sure there has to be better options than what there were back in.
Sure, and we talked about that with Chris Mosier when we interviewed him about my 1800s high school that I grew up in. There's no plans to refurbish and go in and redo anything. That's just not going to happen. So new construction, that's
right.
You can work that out, but
and there's the ADA the ADA laws, and anytime you do what's it called, renovations, you have to bring everything up to those codes.
Right.
So I think we're not close enough to that, but. Where does this speaks to who you elect to offices? You got to get people into offices that are going to try to write legislation to right those wrongs.
Right.
So.
Okay, I'm trying to time us out here at the 2-hour mark. I have 3 more clips. And again, they were limited to 3 minutes of speaking time, so it's not.
Oh, okay.
Not going to. Won't run too long. But
okay.
The next one is from a teacher, and when you listen to these, you'll see why I can't cut them. But. The next one up is a teacher who did a pretty incredible thing with his own students, and then there is a pastor, and I want to talk about that a little bit because we're often what?
Go on, finish your sentence, and then I gotta say something.
I'm often a little mean about that, and then the last one is the letter written by the student. Go.
Did you say there's 5 clips?
No. total. Now we're down to 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan, I just got to give you kudos because I don't remember her saying that. And the fact that you know that is great. He just said in chat 3 of 5.
So here's the thing. Either Dan is great at math or Dan is not keeping up with the drinking game.
Okay.
Maybe Dan's sober tonight.
I don't know.
Okay, so let's play the next clip.
Gent, Ben Litchfield, and Jen Coolidge.
I appreciate your time this evening. My name is Dave Gent. I live in 7th grade teacher here in Stafford County.
He lives in a 7th grade teacher?
I came here today for a few reasons. The first is I was recently reminded, at a faculty meeting no less, that if there's change you want to see in this county, it's not enough to just talk about it. You have to show up to these meetings and advocate for it. The second is I'm here because there's a lot of people at my school and other schools, I'm sure, who are not comfortable to be their own voice. They want change, but because of who they are or the positions they hold, they lack the support in our schools. I showed what I wrote to several teachers, and they all said the same thing. I hope you're ready for the backlash. They fear some kind of social reprisal for doing something like this, and I hope it's not true, but I'm afraid that it might be. When I spoke to students about this, that was one of the places that broke my heart. I've spent the past week talking to students about their experiences growing up as part of the LGBT community. Some wrote letters, others spoke to me directly, and I keep hearing the same things over and over. I can't talk about it here, was in a letter from an asexual student. It's not safe for me, from a non-binary student. They'll treat me differently if they knew the truth, from a gay student. It's not the truth of the statements themselves that break my heart. We've known about bullying in the LGBT community for a long time. What broke my heart is that in most of those letters and statements, they weren't talking about the other students. They were talking about the staff.
Sit on that for a minute.
We don't have a minute. I'm sorry.
The faculty at the schools. We're the people that are supposed to be their role models, their guides through life. I teach English and social skills in equal measure. We want them to grow into confident, strong young adults who will be citizens of our community in the very near future. Training addresses that issue. Training makes sure that if teachers do not know what to do or what is expected of them, they at least know where to find out. We get trained in how to identify child abuse, mental health issues, bullying, because we recognize that those are risks to our students. Training saves lives. It can do the same here. The last issue is that when I asked these students what solutions they wanted to see, what they all said pretty much unanimously is what they needed was a space where they could be themselves, a space where they could learn about themselves and how their lives are going to progress, to advocate for their own needs, somewhere to help them learn about what was down the road for them. If training is for the staff, organizations like GSAs are for the students. Beyond providing leadership opportunities and extracurricular activities, these can provide straight students a chance to learn about their peers. Thank you.
Kind of ran out of time there.
Mm-hmm.
So he talked a little bit about training too, right? And the GSAs. We didn't have that when I was in school. That wasn't a thing. All right, let me cue up the next one. But for him to go to the students, and he's not at the school in question here. He's at a different school. Went to his students and said, tell me what you guys are feeling.
Right.
Tell me what you guys think about this. To his queer students.
Yeah.
And that their concerns were, I'm going to be made to feel this way. I'm going to be treated this way, and I'm not talking about my friends.
Right.
I'm talking about you.
It
the
says
teachers.
a lot. It does.
Yeah.
I mean, and kids know.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are more perceptive.
I feel like
we give them credit for.
I feel like there's and I've told this story before. I feel like there is an equivalent to the high school history teacher that I had, who, and again, this was like in the early 90s, right, mid-90s, who thought his most hilarious joke on the planet was, hey, you know, I don't have any problem with black people. I think everybody ought to own 2 or 3 of them. Yeah, thought it was the funniest thing he'd ever told. Right? There is that guy to trans people working in a school right now, probably in Virginia. And that's the thing that's what concerns me, is that, again, you send them to training, and I get it. There's a progression that you know, with what you have to do. You have to go through the process, and if the training doesn't stick, and there's, you know, all of these things before you can, you know, go, okay, listen, maybe you're not the right fit. But anyway, I digress. The next one is a pastor. And I will say, he's not too preachy, but he kind of cherry picks some things out of the Bible that I might, you know, find opposites to. But hey, when you're in a conservative area, yeah, do as the Romans do.
Yeah, 1 minute. Good evening. Not one preacher minute. Madam Chair, thank you. Dr. Kisner, welcome to Stafford. School board members, thank you. My name is Joshua Cole. My home address is 1130 in Fredericksburg under the Falmouth District. I don't really want to talk about differing beliefs and differing opinions, because we know we all have them. I'm a proud product of the Stafford County Public School System. Started at Falmouth Elementary, the Head Start, Falmouth Elementary, Drew Middle School, South Stafford, then graduated in North Stafford in 2009. And the entire time I was here in Stafford County, we've always talked about how special we are, how individual we are, how unique we are, how peculiar we are. And we were celebrating our individual differences and who we are. If I could offer just a faith perspective, the Bible tells us in a couple different passages, for we are fearfully and wonderfully made. That greater is he that's in me than he that's in the world. We hear all these different passages of scripture that tells us to celebrate who we are. And then every day I wake up and I hear different stories coming out of Stafford County, from the school bus to the Confederate flag to the incident listed here. And then I wonder, what happened to what we were taught in Stafford County Public Schools? That you are to treat others as you would like to be treated. That we are to celebrate our differences because we are great. We are individual. But then I'm also reminded that when Jesus was talking to a group of crazy radicals, he told them, what you do to the least of these, you do to me. So if for every time someone is disenfranchised in Stafford County Public Schools, in my mind, Jesus is disenfranchised. Every time someone is obstructed against, Jesus is obstructed against. And so for this particular incident, Jesus was held outside and told that we don't know what to do with you. We're trying to figure it out. Just give us a moment. We're trying to figure it out, but we don't know what to do with you, Jesus. And I want to remind you that as we move forward, everywhere else around us is moving forward. Fredericksburg City, Prince William County, and here we are in Stafford County, one of the wealthiest counties in the U.S., and we're still stuck in the 50s, in the 60s, and the 70s. And now it's time for us to catch up. I just want to remind you that you guys have the power. You guys have the authority. And for many of us, we voted for you. And we're relying on you to do what's right for our students. Remember, they are beautiful. They are individual. They are celebrated. Imagine if this was your child. How would you feel? That same anger, that same zeal you would put into it, put it into this decision. Because that's Jesus. That's your child. And we have to fight for everybody. Dr. Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
I want to go to that church.
Now, again, I'm an atheist. I don't believe any of that stuff. I don't, none of that is compelling to me. But if you're in Virginia, odds are that's very compelling to you. And so how many times have I said in order for religions to stay relevant, they have to evolve.
Right.
And if that means cherry picking around the verses that, tell you not to dress up like the opposite gender, in order to say, remember hippie Jesus is love. And so, all of these things that you do, imagine that this were Jesus. Imagine this were your child.
Right.
That's how you approach it in an area like this.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Our church has about 40 or 50 people in it, and we had our first active shooter drill, not as a drill as much as a discussion, last Sunday. And then she went on to tell the parable of the lost sheep, how if a shepherd has 100 sheep and one goes missing, the shepherd will go look for that sheep and will notice. And that's how we should care about each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the last clip here is someone reading the letter that was written by the student who was affected.
Evening, Board. My name is Joni Wilson. I live in Fredericksburg, Virginia. I'm going to read a statement that was given to me by a family member. It was written by the student that was involved in the incident at the school lockdown. Dear board members, I am the student who was involved in the school lockdown on September 28th, and I am also the student who was banned from the girls' bathroom when I was just 10 years old. Now, 4 years later, I'm still having to deal with being separated and being treated like an outcast. What happened that day was the most humiliating and embarrassing thing I have ever dealt with. I had to have teachers debate my safety when it is just common sense. They kept telling me if it was a real lockdown, they would just, quote, just shove you in the safest place. If we were practicing our safety, why was I first made to sit in the gym with a teacher, then later sit in the hallway of the locker room facing a wall, alone, by the door? The door in which, if there was someone armed in my school, I would have been the first one gone. I felt like an afterthought. If the whole thing wasn't bad enough, the embarrassment caused me to have a panic attack in front of everyone. I do want to thank the only coach that day who apologized and told me what was done was wrong and that she was on my side. This wasn't the teacher's fault. They are doing what they've been told to do. Blame is pointless now. I want to stop being treated like an afterthought. I want you to stop treating me like I am a predator. It is time for you to fix this. Thank you.
Now, to my knowledge, that's the first public response from this student in any sort of way. Obviously, they're going to great lengths to protect their identity and whatnot. But it's no better than to hear it in their own words.
Yeah.
Like this, you made me feel like an afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
Just breaks my heart. So let me end that by saying the good news that I pulled from this. If you go back and watch the 2015 school board meetings where they were debating whether to let trans people use the restrooms to match their gender identity, and the angry mob descended on. Did you hear? Now, I know I skipped a few. Did you hear anybody screaming about trans people being predators in the restrooms? No. There was not a single voice in opposition at this meeting. Every single person that stood up and spoke in favor of the student.
It makes me wonder if it had just been about wanting to use the bathroom.
Right.
How different
had it changed?
Would the tone be?
Right.
Because I think everyone is outraged when a school puts a child in direct danger.
Right.
especially in the age when we live in, when you just never know if there's going to be a shooter in your school this week or next week or ever, or like it does make me wonder, because the letter did say that the child said she was banned from the girls' bathroom at age 10.
Right.
Is that something that she's still fighting with? Is that something that is an ongoing thing? Is it, I just wonder.
And clearly I'm not good at math. Turn to camera, you people in the chat. Yeah, so that's the thing. I don't know, is this the same child from the 2015 thing? I don't know. But if not, then they've got two trans kids in the
situations going on.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I know, it's okay.
But yes, how differently would the tone be?
Yeah. I just wonder,
if it was just, we have a trans kid and we're going to let them use, it's a trans girl, we're going to let her use the restroom, the girls' room. Right. Would the torches light back up and the pitchforks?
How different would the narrative be?
It's interesting. I mean, it's Virginia.
Well, that's what I'm saying. In that area, and with the, we know that there's historically these issues have happened. So I just think it would be interesting to see if it was different.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
If there's any more developments, of course, we'll talk about them in a future show. But I thought that was important because, again, just that overwhelming support from the community, teachers, former students, current students,
former school board members.
Yeah.
Everybody.
I mean, everybody came out to support this kid, and I think that's just great.
Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up the show, finally. The best stories start with
Florida Man, Florida Man. I don't know if that's the song you want, but that's the one you're getting tonight.
So, should I mention what I thought about maybe doing?
No.
Okay. In Kailin's absence, I have reclaimed story number 1. We were going to go around the table and each read a story, but Kailin got busy dealing with the kids. So,
thank you, Kailin.
Yes.
I saw her watching. I don't know if she's still watching, but she popped in for a little bit.
So I'll read 2 of the 4 stories. The first story tonight of a Florida man coming back into the Sunshine State like a moth to a flame. Georgia police reported trying to pull over a black Mercedes with Florida plates that was speeding south on I-95.
Wait. Speeding on I-95?
Well, I know. The driver, later identified as Edison Apron, real name, swear to God, Edison Apron.
That doesn't mean anything coming out of your mouth.
You're right. 28 of Miami did not stop for police and sped across the border into the Florida.
Into the Florida?
Into the Florida.
He drove into the Florida Agricultural Inspection Station at about 4:15 a.m., crashed into a parked livestock trailer carrying 21 alpacas.
Oh, no. Are they okay?
Well, no. Not all of them. Apron and a passenger got out and fled into the woods on foot.
Oh, my God. What idiots.
He was later apprehended and booked into county jail on charges of leaving the scene of an accident, resisting arrest, and unpacking alpacas. But the story gets more interesting, if you can believe it. The car contained multiple garbage bags filled with stolen mail. Some opened, some still sealed, and stolen checks were found throughout the car as well.
Okay.
So take stolen mail, cross state lines, now you have the FBI involved, along with other federal agencies. Anyway, troopers said one alpaca was seriously injured, and some others may have also been hurt. The uninjured animals were moved to another trailer with the help of Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation officers for the man who owns them as pets.
I just want to say, when you said they found bags in the car, I swear I thought you were going to say alpaca poop.
Oh, God.
Because that would have made a great story name.
Alpaca poop, yeah.
Alpaca poop.
Okay.
So it was an apocalypse.
Crashed.
Alpacalypse.
Oh, that's great. That's it might even be better than the one I wrote down. Let me write that down.
ALPA, yes, good.
Crashed right into a trailer full of alpacas. All right. Your next story of a Florida man.
Oh, do I get to go
Oh,
now?
whoever wants to go next. That doesn't matter.
You want to go or you want me to go?
A Pasco County man is accused of printing counterfeit $5, $10, $20, and $50 bills after giving some of the cash to his landlord, who called the sheriff's office. Pasco Sheriff's Office Detective Spencer Hubble, with a Hubble, said that 29-year-old Levi Newberry found a template on Pinterest to print bills and decided to give it a whirl himself.
Oh my God.
So Newberry went on down to the local library, armed with resume paper he bought at Walmart, and printed up a batch. Resume paper.
Good to know.
Detective Hubble said it wasn't very good. It was on plain paper quality, but he didn't really have a specific reason for printing it. He just said he wanted to see what they would turn out like. But apparently, he also wanted to see if they would actually pass. According to police reports, he had tried to sell the fake cash on Facebook.
Oh my God.
And admitted to deputies he had a buyer willing to purchase $500 worth of funny money for $250.
Oh my gosh.
Dun, 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 dun.
Can I just say, you have an NPR voice, Bailey.
Yeah, you do.
Levi Newberry. Of course, that's your name.
Oh,
New Money by Newberry. Well.
Oh my. Okay.
Becca.
All right. A Florida gas station owner says she's fighting a weird problem. Parul Patel, who owns a BP gas station and convenience store in Jacksonville, says
Of course.
customers, plural, customers, have been using the microwave to heat up urine. She says she's sick and tired of random people walking in, and it's happening every day. And some of these customers have been aggressive. Patel said one customer started cussing at her and saying there was no sign telling her she couldn't warm pee in the microwave. So she made a fucking sign. The sign says, only for food use, do not warm urine. Keep microwave clean. Now, you may be wondering, trying to figure out why people are nuking their pee. One possible connection may be that the business next door of Patel's on-the-fly convenience store is the LabCorp, which offers drug testing services.
So hold on. Does microwaving your pee help you pass a drug test?
If you buy clean pee, it has to be warm because when it comes out of your body, it's warm.
Right. I didn't even think about just warm. Yeah.
So if you're buying,
you're right. No,
if you're
that's
buying
brilliant.
pee, yeah.
Right.
Levi should start selling that instead.
You right?
I might need a better name for that story, but we'll see. Okay, the final story. This week, finally, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to put this story like in the religion segment and put it off to next week. But this is a clear a competitive outsider for a Florida man.
Oh.
This outsider.
So it's not an actual Florida man.
The outsider tonight comes from North Dakota.
Oh, I have family there.
A North Dakota Catholic church's holy water fountain needs a $500 bleach bath after this happened during Mass on Tuesday.
Oh, my.
21-year-old Zachary Burdick waltzed into the 9 a.m. service, tweaking on meth, as one does in North Dakota, stripped naked and walked down the aisle towards the altar while he masturbated.
What's his name again?
Zachary Burdick.
Not related. Okay.
Okay. Just checking. And while that's funny enough, it's what he did before coming into the sanctuary that might win this week. According to the priest, Burdick, quote, dipped his rear end, end quote, into the holy water.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Lori Flayton, a police spokesperson, said that earlier in the day, Burdick had tried to bless the Roman Catholic parishioners with the Book of Mormon and was told to leave. Burdick was arrested for ingestion of methamphetamine, criminal mischief, and indecent exposure, and the church will have to drain the fountain, refill it with new holy water, and bless it all over again.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
Let's see. Your choices tonight.
Is it going to work?
I don't know. I broke it. There we go. See, now I was going to say, I'll alpaca my car right here.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But
I don't know.
I like Alpacalypse, too.
Alpacalypse
That was
better.
good. Library cache creator. I don't like that one. Nuclearin.
Oh, God.
And, well, bless my ass.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God.
Those are your choices for tonight.
I Pinterest money.
That's pretty funny.
It's pretty funny.
And I just imagine, like, walking into the... I'm picturing the library.
Right.
Walking out into the library. I've got my resume paper. And then what? You print out some 5, 10s, and 20s, and then you walk out with them in your hands? What?
Apparently, that's what you do. I would have gone to Kinko's and gotten better quality.
I hope he had one of those big slicers where he would have to individually scissor them.
That would be... Speaking of scissoring, it's time to wrap the show up for tonight and get to bed.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I didn't sign up for that. Too tired. Oh, my God.
Lordy.
And there's a spooning night. There you go.
God, I don't know what to choose this week.
I want to know how the alpaca owner told that story to his family.
Michael says alpacalypse. Jesse says show me the money.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. Yeah.
Dan says so much editing needed.
Don't I know it, Dan? I kind of like the guy who's tweaked on meth.
Yeah, that's just
standing out. So put it back into actual timeline order. So he stands outside the Catholic Church with a Book of Mormon.
Mm-hmm.
Not a book, not an actual Book of Mormon.
It's
but he
the Book of
stands outside
JW.
out of the Book of Mormon. Yeah. He says, hey, you should Joseph Smith and Prophet and, stone tablets and plates and stuff. And you should totally come to Mormonism. And so they chase him away. And then he comes back, dips his ass in the holy water, strips naked, beats it off while he's walking down
was
the
he
aisle.
like trying to moon?
Great.
Was he trying to moon Jesus when he dipped his ass and he just fell in? Like, was he just...
No,
did he intentionally want to put his ass in the water, or was he just...
Another one of the witnesses, I guess, said that he was like splashing around in the fountain.
He thought he was going to a Baptist church.
Yeah.
So Russell's voting for Alpacalypse because of the story, but he's voting for Bailey's story because of her reading.
Yeah.
So I guess you need to just come back and read things for us.
Right.
Wasn't Russell here last year?
Yeah, for Pride. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was, wasn't he? Yeah.
Why didn't he come back?
Well,
Was
he's
he-
got a
Something I
job
said?
now.
Yeah. Was it something I said?
Can be awkward in person.
Oh, so is he. It's not a big deal.
I have so many baby pictures of you now, Russell.
Aren't we? Oh,
Oh,
it's true.
wow.
It's true.
Speaking of Russell, thank you again for the kind gifts here. at
Yes, they're
the,
awesome.
Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
I noticed
Barack Obama.
on the boxes, Barack is for ages 3 and up, and Ruth is for ages like 13 and up because she has a little tiny choking hazard.
Right, she
toy.
comes with an accessory.
Accessory.
Choking.
It is a choking hazard. That's the only reason that it's. I don't know. I'm almost tempted to try to bite Barack's head off to see if it would come off, and because that could be a choking hazard too.
It could be.
Who do you want next for your collection?
I don't even know who they have.
Oh.
They have Hillary and they have They have a bunch of them.
Do they have Sandra Day?
I don't
Do they
know.
have Sonia?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I think it's
here we go. There's a whole collection. It's fctry.com if you want to get your own. We are not sponsored by them at all, but they're pretty fucking great. They have Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Pope Francis, whom I have no interest in purchasing, Barack Obama, Elizabeth Warren, potentially your next president of the United States, Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, I like her.
Bernie Sanders, evil Trump, and Hillary Clinton. What's evil Trump? Have I not seen this
they
one?
do have Trump.
Oh,
and
no,
they
I
have-
did see
yeah.
this. Oh, he's got his finger up. That's right. Flipping the bird. That's pretty great. Yeah, those are fun. I want to say they started this whole thing on Kickstarter.
Yeah, it was Kickstarter.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's 14 and up for Miss RBG.
Oh.
They're really cute though. I like them.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome.
They're fun to play with when we're sitting in here.
Is there more to that story?
Yeah, I whatever. Listen, I'm not sitting where I can just pop Bernie right up in the camera.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but next week.
That was priceless.
Yeah, I like pick Bernie up and
Yeah.
right up in the camera. Like, he's fun. It's good stuff.
Well, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Yes,
Yeah.
thanks for coming in. And
Yeah.
Kailin, thanks for coming in too.
Kailin, thank you. Well, we'll see her in a little while.
Yeah.
Love you, sweetheart.
Aww.
Cheesy. I love it though.
But
so good.
Come back sometime. You should. Here's what we should do. You all should just move here, or I'm willing.
I'm willing. Move there.
We could move there, and we'll just like create our own fun lesbian commune.
A gay apocalypse.
And that would be great.
Yes.
I think that would be awesome.
On the beach.
Totally in.
Yes.
And we'll rescue turtles and dogs.
Yes.
Sign me up.
And
why are we
LGBT
still living
kids
here?
that need parents.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go. Let's do. Okay.
We have-
Patrons, we need some money to move. New patron goal.
Okay, let's wrap this thing up. We want to thank all of our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/SarahTalk. If you can kick us $1 an episode, we'll love you forever. And if you aren't in a financial position to do that, we'll still love you. But you just share out the episode and send it out on social media. Head over to your podcast player of choice. Give us a great 5-star review. We're going to read those now as people review them. We'll read them on the air. And somehow Apple Podcasts has us at 4 stars. I don't know how that happened, but
hey, I'll take it.
Y'all want to gather together and go make it 5, that would be great.
There's a request from the chat.
Sure.
Bailey.
Jesus.
Oh. So he wants me to say it like this or in the SNL voice?
No, in the NPR voice, I think.
In the NPR voice a la SNL. I don't even know what that means, but do it both ways.
Schmetty balls? Not sure why I put a question mark on that.
Because you don't know what those are?
It's the Christmas thing.
No, I meant, never mind.
Oh, because I'm gay.
Oh, this was so fun.
This is so, you got to come
And
back.
this is just the beginning of the weekend. We get her until Monday.
Okay, thank you everyone for listening. Thanks for everyone who joined us on the Facebook Live. Thank you, Kailin and Bailey, for jumping in with us this week. Next week, Brent, Lee, and Nikki from the Unapologetics podcast. We'll see you next week.
SarahTalk is made possible by listener support. Visit patreon.com/SarahTalk to become a patron and help keep this program going. Contact Sarah and Company by email at producer@sarahtalk.com or call 224-40-SARAH. That's 224-407-2724. And follow us on social media, facebook.com/SarahTalkRadio and on Twitter @SarahTalkRadio. The opinions and information provided on this show are intended for entertainment purposes only. All opinions are solely that of the hosts and their guests. We make no representations as to accuracy, completeness, timeliness, or validity of any information and will not be liable for any errors or damages. SarahTalk is a production of Sarah Austin Media.